This week on Vaticano, Pope Francis makes an appeal for peace in Syria, symbolically lighting a flame of hope from the window of the Apostolic Palace. Representatives from shrines all over the world gather at the Vatican, coordinating efforts to become centers for new evangelization. And meet Mr. and Mrs. Plumridge and find out why their movie was nominated for Best Film in this year's Mirabile Dictu Catholic Film Festival in Rome. For this and more, Vaticano starts now. Pope Francis invited the governments of all the world to fight against drug dealers and not to be afraid to call them traffickers of death.
Affrontare con coraggio.
The Pope addressed this appeal to participants in the International Conference on Drugs and Addictions, which took place in the Vatican at the end of November. Also, the prefect of the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples, Cardinal Fernando Filoni, presented a website and guide for the Extraordinary World Missionary Month in 2019. The theme of the October 2019 Missionary Month is on the mission of the Church of Christ in the world. Cardinal Filoni says that the guiding document is addressed to every local church, not to impose, but to renew their missionary spirit. Archbishop Gianpietro Dal Toso, president of the Pontifical Mission Societies, pointed out that there's a clear link between next October's focus on missionary work and next year's Synod on the Amazon. He said it was the Pope's desire to create this link.
The
Pope, in a speech of this year on June 1st to the Pontifical Mission Societies, underscored this connection between the Extraordinary Mission Month and the Synod for the Amazon. And this connection is not a casual one. It will help us, I believe, also to live the missionary dimension of the Synod on the Amazon. Therefore, the reflection that the Synod Fathers make on the Amazon will also reflect the task of the Church in bringing the gospel to that region of the earth.
Anche sul compito della Chiesa nel portare il Vangelo anche in quelle zone della terra.
The Extraordinary Missionary Month will mark the centenary of Benedict XV's missionary apostolic letter, Maximum Illud. Speaking to Bhatti, a Pakistani association named for Shahbaz Bhatti, a prominent Catholic killed for his faith 7 years ago, the Holy Father said that his sacrifice is bearing rich fruits of hope.
Alla pace e alla giustizia.
Shahbaz Bhatti served as Pakistan's Federal Minister for Minority Affairs from 2008 until his assassination in March of 2011. Death threats against him increased in 2010 after he showed support for Asia Bibi. The Taliban declared him a blasphemer because of his Christian faith and took responsibility for his assassination. Pope Francis welcomed one of the most remote bishops' conferences in the world at the end of November, bishops from the Indian Ocean. The bishops represent about 1 million Catholics living across the islands of the Comoros, the Republic of Mauritius, the Republic of Seychelles, and the French islands of Réunion and Mayotte.
E tanti fedeli del mondo che oggi, in questo momento, accendono le loro candele.
This flame of hope and many flames of hope disperse the darkness of war, proclaimed Pope Francis as he lit a candle from Damascus, adorned with photos of Syrian children. This candle is part of an initiative organized by Aid to the Church in Need called Candles for Peace in Syria.
Questa fiamma di speranza.
The campaign is raising funds to provide emergency aid, reconstruction, and pastoral support to Christians in Syria. Over 50,000 Syrian children also participated in the campaign. They decorated their candles and prayed, conveying to the world their longing for peace. A parish priest from Aleppo, Father Ibrahim Al-Saba, told us earlier this fall that despite the ceasefire, the situation in Syria is still dramatic.
You know, with sadness we can say that we were thinking that the Syria could be divided in two pieces, but as we see today, it is divided for more than two pieces. The conflict is going on, not in all the area of Syria, but in some areas. In the same time, the shadow of poverty is always present. There is a big suffering of the people. When they look to the future, it seems to not have a future. And while the government is so weak and the assistance is so weak for the people, the church now manifests itself as the main point of reference for all the citizens.
Pope Francis lit the candle at the end of the Angelus prayer during the first Sunday of Advent. With around 20,000 people gathered in St. Peter's Square, the Holy Father prayed that Christians will be helped to stay in Syria and across the Middle East. In a few moments, we'll be back with more on Vaticano. More on Vaticano begins now.
In October at the UN Geneva, during the European Anti-Trafficking Day, this conference highlighted the urgent need for better public awareness about this modern form of slavery. The Austrian Embassy, the Holy See and the Order of Malta were one of the organizers of this event. 45 million people worldwide were victims on any given day in 2016, and the numbers are rising. Are there solutions, practical implementations, how you can, fight against it?
What we need to do first is to raise awareness. Raise awareness because many people ignore, or they say, yes, of course, it exists in such and such country, but here, of course not. And that's unfortunately not true. Even in my own country, Switzerland, even in my own city, Geneva, and I don't have to mention other countries and other cities, we already have more slaves today than we ever had. Some of those networks of traffickers are very well known. You have even peacekeeping forces there. You have satellites monitoring what's going on. So couldn't we bring those traffickers to courts, to national courts, or to an international criminal court, you see?
Slave labor, we're talking about the impact of someone who caused that slave labor, and that's the consumer who buys products that enables it. So we're talking about ourselves as enablers, as participants.
Exactly.
That is, no one would think probably of that, but that's really the reality.
Yes, and so that's why one of the proposals we made in New York, and we know we are not here alone to make this proposal, is to say, let's have slave-free labels. We have green labels, we should have red labels. Meaning by that, people should be aware that if they buy a cheap, shirt, if they buy a cheap label, it nearly means slave labor. We celebrate, or do we dare, to celebrate the Universal Declaration on Human Rights, and here is a massive violation of human rights with us, slavery. The next one would be, of course, genocide. But at times, in some parts of the world, I don't want to name names, but in some parts of the world, trafficking and genocide are not far away.
Ambassador, we wish you good luck with this and success, and I hope we raised a little awareness with our little interview here with the audiences, and think about next time what product you are buying, and look really where it's coming from, and do yourself the favor, especially as Catholics, as Christians, this might be the result of slave labor, actually. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So during Christmas shopping, keep in mind, when you buy gifts for your loved ones or someone else, it may have been made by someone's slave.
Il santuario è soprattutto, seconda cosa, luogo di preghiera.
Shrines are above all places of prayer, pointed out Pope Francis, speaking to the priests and lay people participating in the first international convention dedicated to the operation of shrines. The convention was held for 3 days at the end of November at Rome's Pontifical Lateran University and was organized by the Pontifical Council for promoting the new evangelization. Roughly 600 rectors and workers from almost every shrine of the world, all the way from the mountains of Kenya to the miraculous spring in Lourdes, gathered to exchange their experiences and share their unique charisms.
Our Lady appears in a cave, not in the sky. It seems to me that the particular grace of Lourdes and this place of reconciliation comes through sin, through hatred, through the difficulties of life. Bernadette had to dig into the mud till the spring appears. And then, for me, if I accept this difficulty of my life, my weakness, the illness, this can become a place of healing, but also a place of acceptance and of a new joy.
The shrine is actually a very, very important place. People come a lot, in very big numbers. They appreciate the presence of the shrine. It becomes a place where they come to encounter God, to rediscover faith. People come there and they really appreciate the presence of the shrine. It's dedicated to the Divine Mercy, and the intention is to promote the Divine Mercy, the devotion to the Divine Mercy. And it's inspired by the general devotion, the Divine Mercy, as presented by St. Faustina Kowalski.
The theme of the gathering was the shrine, an open door to the new evangelization.
Up to this point, what we have heard is very enriching also for the Shrine of Fatima. For example, now the topic of reflection moves to the openness of shrines, shrines as open places for everyone. In my opinion, what is fundamental is that the shrine would know how to present itself to everyone in every moment as a Catholic shrine, and never forget to tell this to all who visit.
A shrine is a gift of the Lord. Some shrines were created by an apparition, others when a statue was found, others when a pastor had the idea of a particular cult to a saint or to the Sacred Heart, or even a doorman of a convent was welcoming to all the people who were passing by, praying and worshiping. And then a small chapel became like a memorial to an enormous shrine. You can't invent a shrine. It is an idea of the Lord.
In Montepello, there was no apparition. There was a delivery of a relic of Jesus. It is a cloth that was brought by a person of Jesus, and on this cloth is embossed his true image.
The convention was organized following Pope Francis' February 2017 decision to move the competency for shrines and sanctuaries under the Pontifical Council for promoting the new evangelization. The organizing commission decided to hold these meetings once every 3 years.
Il santuario è il luogo privilegiato per sperimentare la misericordia.
At the meeting with the shrine rectors, Pope Francis said that shrines are privileged places to experience God's mercy. The Holy Father also expressed his wish that each shrine have one or more missionaries of mercy, a role he instituted during the Jubilee Year of Mercy.
Well, the missionaries of mercy were given a special mandate, and I would say that's a special grace to preach about God's love, about God's forgiveness, about mercy.
With the synergy and exchange of experiences between the rectors with the help of the missionaries of mercy, the Holy Father sees the future of shrines as spiritual centers of the new evangelization. Stick around for more on Vaticano. Welcome back. You're watching Vaticano.
What's the matter?
A gentleman is dying.
EWTN's short film, Hidden Shrine, was nominated for Best Film in this year's edition of the Mirabile Dictu Catholic Film Festival in Rome.
I will have nothing to do with your religion.
We caught up with the producer and author of the movie, Anthony Plumridge, and his wife and costumes director, Ellen Plumridge, to reveal the hidden shrine.
Well, some years ago, I was reading from a little devotional book on for the month of November, sort of purgatory stories, and each day there was a different entry, and I came across this little story about this priest who was woken one stormy night by a strange woman to tell him to go to this to come to this house with a dying man.
Oh, good evening. I am Father Dudley. I've come to attend the patient.
So he wrote a script, and then from the script I need to see into his mind. I need to see what his vision is. So he needs to tell me exactly what he's seeing. How does he see the room? How does he see the fire? How does he see the characters? Are they rich? Are they poor? There's a lot of detail that goes into it. Once he's communicated that to me, then I go looking for it. So I'll go and look at the costumes, and the textures of the costumes are very important, because on film you can see the detail, you can see the weave. Then it's finding the right house, a big room, a small room, and the fires and the correct props. And that's everything from whether there's a lace thing on the table or a candelabra. Everything in that room has to be put there.
The lady comes and says this man is close to death.
Is anyone there?
Father.
Oh, what can I do for you, madam? It's quite late.
You must come. And the thought behind it was, that's my son there. That's my son, and he's dying.
Well, of course, he's not really close to death in terms of his health, but in terms of his soul, he is close to death.
Is this the place?
And it was very emotional, actually. I felt very I'm going to feel very emotional thinking about it. And
he's far from the faith, he's far from the church, and the priest realises that. And when he realises that the lady who brought him was his mother somehow, because he recognises the picture, then he realises that this is serious. We always refer back to the fire, the flowing, the fire and the flames. It starts off with the fire. We always cut back to the fire, and in fact, when the man has his final kind of realisation speech, the priest is very close to the camera, and his face is quite ruddy, and you've got that thing that he's a step away. This man is a step away from the eternal fires of hell.
We knew that Victorian gentlemen in the evenings wore smoking jackets, so that was very important. We got a smoking jacket. But if you look, he's not completely smart. He's a little bit dishevelled, tiny bit dishevelled, which tells you that he's not really looking after himself. And you can see also that he's single, that there is no one else. There's no lady of the house looking after it. It is a gentleman's quarter, and we needed to portray that, and the fact that he drinks.
What a lovely little altar, Mr. Stokes.
The priest is old, in one sense. The church is old. It's been around, But what he says is completely new, in a sense. Is completely always fresh. It's always living. It doesn't matter if he's old or whether he's young.
But the fact is that this shrine is hidden away. It is around a corner. It's not in view. If you go into most Catholics' house, they might have some kind of an altar there or a crucifix, but this is hidden away and a curtain drawn across it. He will do it. He will light it every night because he promised to his mother, but he doesn't want to be reminded it's there. So it's just cover it up again and leave it alone.
I just thank EWTN for giving us the opportunity to be able to do this, and for coming here to Rome, and thank Providence for it all.
We first heard, we both just sat there and thought, I can't believe this, I can't can't believe this has happened. I mean, one, coming to home, but two, that the film has been recognised, because it is a great, great privilege to have a piece of work recognised in this way. And I can't thank EWTN actually for supporting us in this, because they really have. Without their support, I don't know what we'd have done. So this is a really great privilege.